What's up, guys? We are back with another video. I just want to say to all you guys out there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everything. Enjoy this time with your family. Hope you get the things that you've been desiring all year as far as gifts and things like that. So I hope everything works out for you and you get that special gift under the tree. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about the last of the Mohicans, the Dodge Viper ACR. Let's get it. Okay, guys, so we are back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Always check your notifications. So when I drop the fresh uploads, you guys will be the first to see it. Okay, so with that being said, here we go. So right now you see what I see. I have those are the Vipers that I have, but those so far are the ones that I like out of the whole generation. Um, so I don't have everything, as far as the Vipers go. So the Viper ACR is the last of the Mohicans. It was, to me, to me, it represented everything that Viper was. And to be honest with you, I wish that the Viper was still around. You know, I hate the fact that they uh let it go the way they did. 'Cause I thought the Viper was and if you look at all the generations of the Dodge Viper, even when it came to a point to where, and I know y'all remember when at some point Dodge was stripped away from the Viper name and they just called it the SRT Viper. To me, I felt like at that point that why strip away the Dodge name when that was part of Dodge's um that was part of their brand to me. When they went SRT, I felt like, they were stripping away a piece of the history that Dodge had with the Viper. Um, so normally in my circumstance, as far as what I think, um, I didn't really like when they took the Dodge name away from the Viper at that point because Viper was part of the Dodge lineup for many years since it debuted in the early 90s. So I feel like um, it should have remained with Dodge, and not stripping it away and then just giving it the SRT name. And, it just, to me, it just didn't make sense. Um, so I feel like when they brought it back, it was cool when they brought it back. Um, so let's get into the video here. I just had to rant a little bit like that. So these are the Vipers right here, and you can see they're all different generations. Um, those are thus far the ones that I liked. That's why I only have those three. You know, you also got the GTS and everything else out there that is not part of this collection here, because Viper is part of a bigger generation of cars that they made. But in this package that you see here is the ACR. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out so you guys can. Now, this ACR, I bought this from AliExpress, and it's a beautiful car. I mean, it's beautiful. And it comes in different colors. I will show you guys on the screen what colors this car comes in, as you can see. So this ACR caught my attention when I first saw it on AliExpress, and I said to myself, okay, I got to get that. I have to have that. And it was hard of a decision because the colors that it came in were very nice colors. And let me tell you, it was a tough decision trying to figure out which one I wanted to get. And ultimately, I landed on the white one with the red stripes, even though all the other ones are just as nice. Don't get it twisted. All the other ones are just as nice. It was just a hard of a decision to figure out which color I ultimately wanted to go with. So I went with this white one with the red stripes. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of the background of the ACR, which was the last of the Mohicans for Dodge before Dodge practically went away with the Viper. So the 2017 Dodge Viper ACR is a track-focused, high-performance sports car, not a traditional luxury car, known for its raw power from an 8.4-liter V10 engine, aggressive aerodynamics like a massive rear wing and diffuser, and a standard 6-speed manual transmission. While it offers some modern features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen and Alcantara seats, its focus is on extreme performance with a harsh ride and minimal creature comforts compared to true luxury vehicles, making it a collector's item for its final production year. See, final production year is the key. We knew that once the Viper ACR came out, that this was going to be the last of the Mohicans. We knew this was going to be the last thing that Viper was going to put out there. So this inevitably meant that the ACR was the last time we were going to see a new Dodge Viper, period. It has extreme aero package that includes a massive carbon fiber rear wing, a front splitter, and diffuser for nearly 1 ton of downforce. The suspension is 10-setting, manually adjustable, Bilstein racing shocks. It has carbon ceramic Brembo brakes. As you know, it's a 2-seater, Alcantara trim. It has navigation, Bluetooth, backup camera. The one-of-one program allowed for extensive personalization in its final year. Now, they say this is a collector's item because this is the last of the Mohicans. This is the last one, which means you will not see another Viper after this, the final production year. So the ACR is definitely a high collectible. That's what they say. As the final model year is highly sought after, with prices significantly higher than its original MSRP, which means people are going to be holding on to the ACR because they know this is the last time they will see the Dodge Viper in production. And that is why this was the last of the Mohicans. And this is why the SRT is so highly sought after. And this is why we all know that this was going to be the last time that we were going to see a production of the Dodge Viper, which I personally don't like because I am a big fan of the Dodge Viper. I loved it ever since it first came out. That's why I have the original over here. I always loved the Dodge Viper, and it always was a big attraction to me ever since it first came out. So I am a big fan of the Dodge Viper, bar none. Now, I will say there were some models that I really wasn't intrigued by. Like it was maybe one generation that I probably wasn't that much intrigued by because I felt like it lost its look. I want to say it was the third gen. I could be wrong. I want to say it was the third gen that I felt like just it didn't look that great to me. Like the first gen gave you what Viper was all about. Like it had that snake look to it. Like that roof, when you look at the roof on the top, and it had that when you look at the rooftop, you know how the top of a cobra's head is, how that cobra has that dent inside the middle of his head, that goes down like in the center of his head. The Viper, the first gen, had that same look when it had that dent inside the top of the roof, and it gave it that Viper look. And I'm like, man, that is it right there. It just had the look of a Viper. And so when the third gen came, it was sort of like it kind of lost its look in a way. The curves that the first gen had was defining of the Dodge Viper. And it was like when the third gen came out, it wasn't as curvy as it used to be. And it was just like, I felt like at that moment that the Dodge kind of lost its spark when they changed the shape of it. It didn't have that curve like it used to have. So I really wasn't really that impressed. And I think this was the third gen right here, this blue one. But I do like this one in general. It's just that I just wasn't that impressed with how they changed the shape of it. It didn't really say Viper like it used to back when the first gen came. But then you see they slowly brought it back when they returned with the yellow one. The yellow one brought back what Viper was meant to be, as you can see the indent in the top of the roof here, This is what Viper was known for. And so I felt like when that happened, at that point, I said, yeah, Viper is back. They're back. They are back. So I was excited when I saw that. But let's take a look at this ACR. Because, like I said, I got this from uh, AliExpress. And, I do a lot of shopping at AliExpress. And I love getting stuff from there. And, like, their shipping is, like, it doesn't take long. Um, I got another vehicle that I'm gonna show you guys on the next episode, and I couldn't believe that they had this. And you guys will get to see on the next episode. And it came fairly quickly. It came fairly quick, and I was tripped out when I saw how fast it came. So I will show you guys exactly what I'm talking about in the next episode. But let's check out this Viper ACR here. As you can see, it has that aggressive look in the front. Like, look at this. It looks so aggressive in the front. I love this. How they got this attached to the bottom, and they got these pieces right here sticking out that goes up under the grill. I love that. I love that look. It's so aggressive, because the fact that this is a track car, you can see why they did what they did with it. And all of this that you see is all for aerodynamics. You can see these pieces here on the side. All of this is made for aerodynamics. It is not for looks. It's for aerodynamics specifically. And you can see the Viper logo on the front, the snake. I love how, now I will say, I love how Dodge took the Viper and they changed the look of the snake. Because if you remember in the beginning, when the Dodge first came out, the Viper's face on the logo was straight ahead. It was straight ahead. You could see the Viper snake, and then the logo was straight ahead. The face was straight ahead. And now they have the Viper's face turned to the side. And I like it. It looks so cool how they had the Viper's face turned to the side on the Dodge Viper. As a matter of fact, I think this is what I plan to do with this Viper here. Is I'm gonna put the Viper's face on the side of the door here, on both sides, because I love how the Viper logo looks. What they had the snake's face turned to the side, as opposed to the way it looked in the beginning when they had it facing forward. But this is a beautiful ACR. I love the wheels. I love it. And you can see it says ACR right there on the side. And normally right here, where it says ACR, on the original Viper, this is where it would have said RT10. They still had the side pipe thing. That is a tradition. That is a trademark of what the Viper stands for. The side pipe coming out, and a lot of people have issues with those side pipes, especially when you get out and your calves touch that part of the car. It always has a warning label on the inside of the door jamb that lets you know that is a hot exhaust underneath. So be careful when you step out of the car, because that exhaust gets really hot. And a lot of people who's owned one of these cars has actually had their calves burnt because it's so hot under there, because the exhaust is right underneath where you step out at. So that's also been Dodge Viper's trademark. Um, I've always loved this design here, that cut that goes into the door, you know, and looking at where the air goes through here. I've always liked that design from Viper. I always thought that was the coolest thing. And like I said, I love the wheels. The wheels just bring out this whole thing. Black wheels to me has always been so cool. And you can see the rear wing, like they was talking about in the description. Unfortunately, it's not a carbon fiber wing, but you can see the wing also is there to create that downforce that they were talking about. And you can see the diffuser underneath. All of this creates the aerodynamics and the downforce because simply this is a track car. The ACR was only produced for track use. So you could see the diffuser and the rear wing, and I like what they did to this. This is so cool. You know, I love how the red and white stripes go through the back. And let's see, so we open up the rear, and not a whole lot of space back there. Um, you're not going to carry a whole lot. I mean, this is a track car. I mean, who carries a bunch of stuff in a track car? I mean, I don't understand why you would even use a track car to carry a whole bunch of stuff when you're just going to a racetrack, you know? So, yeah, not the practicality that you would have in a car like this, but I wouldn't expect it to have much practicality because it's a track car. So there, you could see the gas tank here. Let's look at it from this side. Now let's open, and you could see that V10 engine there. I like the cross member that they put on top of the engine. I like how that looks. I love I've always been one who loves the detail as far as engine wise, because some of these models that some of these companies make, they don't put a lot of attention on detail in some of these models. So I think sometimes it's okay to do something to give it that realism a little bit. And I like what they did with this one here. I love the look of this. I think that is awesome how they put that attention to detail on the engine. Now, although it does not say Viper on it, you know, it's still, to me, the attention to detail that matters. And I still think they did a good job with it. So, you know, it still looks good. So I do like how they did this. And I think it's cool. And let's look at the inside. Not a whole lot going on in there. You can see there's not a whole lot of detail. You can also see where they were talking about the 8.4-inch touchscreen. You can see it right there in the center, where the infotainment center is. Only other thing I see is that the attention to the detail on the steering wheel. No gauge clusters over there, so they didn't at least put a sticker up there to give you some type of detail. So it's not a whole lot going on in there. You could see that they put the detail on the air vents. And And that's really it. Like, it's not anything else really that that really sticks out to you inside of this car. Um and like I said, I think it's a beautiful car. Like I said, I love the stripes. I love the look of this whole thing. I mean, to me, it looks very cool. Um, you know, you could see the door handles here because, you do remember in the beginning, Viper didn't even have door handles. Well, to be frank with you, Viper really didn't have anything in the beginning. There was no traction control, there was no AC, there was um no safety features. It was just like you were riding in a car strictly for the fact that it was fast. The car, it didn't even have windows. I mean, they put these plastic pieces in there and they call them windows, but yet you could unzip the window just to unlock the door, basically. And the crazy thing about the Viper back in the day was it had door locks. What was the purpose of door locks when you had plastic windows that you can easily walk up to and just unzipping it and walk in, stick your fingers in there and unlock the door from the inside? Like, anybody could just walk up to the car and unzip the little plastic window and stick their finger in there and open the door. So what was the point of the door locks? You didn't have a real window, so there was no way to really secure the car, but they came a long way since then, and as time went on, they started adding more features to the car and everything that should have been there in the beginning, because a lot of these customers were asking for things like this. And the Viper, to me, it was just a car with a big engine and nothing else. I mean, it was more like a death trap back then, because you didn't really have all the safety features then that the Viper, up until the end of its, run, that they started adding a lot of these safety features and all of these other amenities that, a sports car should have. But yeah, the Viper was so basic back in the day. I mean, I'm talking about this first gen right here. It was so basic. Like, there was not a whole lot. You put the seat belts on the door. It was not inside the car, usually where a lot of other seat belts normally are. The seat belts were on the door, So, I mean, Viper came a long way, but nonetheless, even though all of this was, even though the car was basic, like, it was still one of my favorite cars. Far none. Like, I still was in love with the Dodge Viper, even though it was basic. It was just the look of it that just caught your attention. It was something different in the early 90s. So a lot of people, even though it didn't have much to offer other than a V10 engine, it was still a beautiful car. And nobody can deny that. It's still a beautiful car. Even to this day, the Viper is still a beautiful car. The first gen. I'm talking about the first gen. I'm not talking about no other generation. Just the first gen by itself. It was a beautiful car. It still is. And, as basic as it was, it still won the hearts of many people who wanted to own one of these first gen Dodge Vipers. And there's people out there today that still owns a first gen Dodge Viper. You know, there may be some people who may have added something to it or maybe even kept it original. But there are some people who own first gen Dodge Vipers that have added certain things to it because they had the money to do it. So, you know, that's also a great thing. But to see this Viper come to an end was so sad and unfortunate, because I feel like Dodge Viper was a staple in the Dodge community, especially in the sports car division. Um, and, you know, you see the Challengers and the Chargers they have. You know, they just recently um, did away with those, and they came back with the electric Charger, which I'm not a big fan of. So, you know, I felt like the Viper was definitely a staple in Dodge's sports car division. And I felt like this was something that should have stayed around longer um, than what we saw. And for it to come to an end with the ACR being its last, you know, I thought it was very sad to see Viper go. And I hope that one day Dodge finds it in their heart to bring the Viper back. Um, I do feel like people will still cling on to this car if it was to return. And I really hope that they do come together in some way, somehow, bring back the Dodge Viper. You know, you guys let me know if you think the Viper should return. They had some great years. They had some great um, generations, and people have gotten their hands on these beautiful V10 cars. And so I feel like Viper should be a returnable sports car for the future, and that you should once again bring back that two-seater that everybody fell in love with when it debuted in the early 90s. So this is just a little bit of what I have in my Viper collection. This is all I have. Like I said, so far, this is what I've seen that I liked. So you see that there's a lot missing here because it's a lot more than what you see on this table that's out there. And that's the thing I love about the Viper. They practically have every single generation out there that you can get for the Dodge Viper. And that is what I like about this. It's like all the generations are out there. You just have to go. Now, if you want every single one, you basically have to do some searching, like do some, not a lot. It's not, I'm not going to say it's difficult research. It's very easy research. But the thing is, you will have to find people who have them and see the condition that they're in, because they've done many different Vipers and different colors and things like that. And as you can see right here, I have two, but these are Jadas. That one over there, I believe, is Maisto. No, Burago. This is a Burago. So they have a lot of different ones. Oh, and also Franklin Mint also has a version of the Dodge Viper too. Franklin Mint did one too. So there's a whole lot that can be added to this collection. It's just that I'm not a fan of all of them. You know, so it's just certain ones I pick and choose as to which ones I wanted, and these are the ones that I wanted. As you can see, there are three different generations here. They're not the same. The only ones that would actually be the same would be this one and this one. They come from the same line. As you can see, they do look alike. This is just the regular SRT, but this one is the ACR. Um, so, yeah. But let me know in the comments, guys, if you feel the Dodge Viper should return, because I feel like they should. I felt like it was a beautiful sports car. I mean, it meant everything to enthusiasts who love the Dodge Viper. And I know, like, I myself, there are people out there who um did not like the fact that the Viper came to an abrupt end after the ACR was revealed. And I believe that's why so many people, and that's why they're saying that the ACR right now is highly sought after, because Dodge does not plan to bring the Viper back. But I feel like they should. So, in conclusion, guys, that's my Viper ACR. You saw my bloodline of Dodge Vipers. Not many, you know, just a pick of the litter of what I like according to my taste and what I've seen out there. Those are the only ones I really like out of what I saw. But I also showed you the ACR, which is something you could buy at AliExpress. I'm not sure, you know, if you guys shop at AliExpress a lot, but I've been shopping with AliExpress for almost 4 years, and they never seem to disappoint. They always coming out with something new, and I love it. You know, I've been a faithful customer of AliExpress. I know some people are skeptical about it. Let me just be the first to tell you, there's nothing to be skeptical about. They deliver. They deliver pretty fast. I mean, being as it comes from China. The cars are great. You know, it has a lot of detail and focus. Their focus is on detail, and they do a lot of that. If it's a 4-door, 2-door, whatever, all of their parts are going to be open parts. So you don't have to worry about that. But like I said, trust me, AliExpress is where you want to go to get your diecast. They have some really nice cars there, and I suggest you guys hit them up and get your collection together and get it from AliExpress. But enough of that. Again, happy holidays to you guys. And like I said, I got a treat for you guys in the next episode, so don't miss it. With that being said, you guys have a great day and have a safe and happy holiday.